engineering. What we are going to do is, we had some time back requested the head of each department to share their views on, how their department can sort of move forward from where it is today, and come back to us with some suggestions at this forum, some ideas on how their department can sort of move forward from here, what sorts of things are lacking or what things can be improved. So what we are going to do today is start with a small presentation which will be made by each one of the heads present here with us, and they will share with us their ideas, which they have obviously talked to their colleagues and students in the department. We'll go in alphabetical order, so I'll start with civil engineering. Dr. H.N. Ramesh, who is the head of civil engineering, he is actually chairman of civil engineering. He's completed his Bachelor of Engineering from BDT College in '84. He joined, before joining UVC, he had careers as a geotech consultant. He's also worked as a senior engineer at Tata Consulting Engineers, so he's got good industry background. He has guided 6 PhD students so far, which is quite commendable, 30 ME dissertations, and 1 MSc Engineering research. He's published over 100 papers in national and international journals. He's also an author of 2 books, civil engineering, in the civil engineering area. He's an executive member of the Indian Geotechnological Society and completed research projects from AICT in 2000-2004 in geotechnical engineering. So may I request Dr. Ramesh to sort of share his views on improvements to civil engineering department.
You can notice of all the alumni that we are second to none as far as civil engineering department is concerned in Karnataka. We are one of the best in the country. We have faculties of excellence. We have 31 faculties. Out of 31, today one faculty has submitted for his PhD, including that we have 27 faculty members with PhD. And in the civil engineering department are the alumni of UVCE. The reputed colleges, head of the departments, they have done PhD from UVCE only, UVCE civil engineering department. With that background, I would like to start my presentation.
So if I can interrupt, could you share with the audience the size of the department today?
I'm going to share everything. Okay. And finally, I will present what we need from the alumni and what is our drawbacks, etc.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Just increase the size of the slide. This is the front view of the civil engineering department, and most of the alumni may not have visited recently in 3-4 years. The front elevation is totally changed, and this is the front view of the civil engineering department. And inside we have Vishweshwara statue, and it was we are installed in 2000. This is one of the views inside. And faculty details, you can see the faculty members details. We have 9 professors, and all of them are PhDs, and totally we have 27 PhDs. This is our faculty profile. And we, the civil engineering department, we are totally committed. We are located in the Jnanabharati campus, and we are forced to do our teaching and research consultancy work. And we feel that performance does not happen accidentally. It is the result of planned action for the desired objective. And nurture students to meet global challenges by imparting quality teaching and to learning process. And we consider the 3 waves. The first wave, teaching for understanding. Second wave is teaching for examinations. And third wave, student-oriented education. And for us, student is more important than a teacher. And learning seems to be taking place with little or no relation to real life. Of course, in the real life, it is uncertain, changing and complex. Teaching, it is certain, rigid and linear. Memory-based learning will be supplemented more with the hands-on learning, otherwise old habit will revisit us, and learning by heart and failed miserably in interpretation and analysis. An institution of technical education and continuing learning in which undergraduate, master's and doctoral programs are targeted, students shall experience the traditional and non-traditional class experiences, engage in research and service activities with faculty members, becoming lifelong learners equipped to adapt to meet the local and global challenges in their professional lives and develop leadership skills. And we have some strength in our department. The highly qualified and talented faculty in their respective field of specialization. Of course, I already mentioned that 27 PhDs, and 4 are pursuing and 2 are in their final stages. Well-equipped laboratories and departmental library, publications in national and international journals and conferences, symposiums and workshops. Funding under first phase TechUp is over. And we are the QIP Center for MA and PhD program. And we have completed so many sponsored research projects from AICT, DST, MYF, ISRO, etc. And admission of students of UG PG is only through CET of Government of Karnataka. And the consultancy services, we have some industry institute interaction. We are doing a lot of projects for the lake development. Recently, we are in the final stages of 10 lakes development from BBMP, BDA, and we are also completing many projects like that. Consultancy. But these are only major projects. And our achievements, so far we have produced 53 PhDs and 5 MSc Engineering by research, and at present 43 students are working for the PhD, and MSc Engineering 2 completed, 2 are doing, and imparting technical education to socially backward students from northeastern states of India.
Engineering. Professor, I want to understand from you whether this issue comes from lack of funding, or is it the some recruitment hurdle that we are unaware of?
No, everybody is aware of it. It is the government policy. There was for some years there was recruitment ban, and recently they have recruited some faculty members, and again some of the cases are in the court. You have seen NIT is also not spared enough. Today's paper you have seen. So we have some court problems. That's the reason why we are not able to recruit the faculty members.
Okay, so if you can elaborate a little bit more, I mean specifically, is there an agency or some legislation that needs to be passed in order for us to get beyond this hurdle? Or at least I'm unable to understand exactly where the hurdle is.
No, basically UBC we have to have the social justice. We have to give preference to all the categories of people. We have to maintain the roster system. The problem is, the people have challenged some of the posts to the court, and it's a legal issue, and nobody can do anything. Only court can solve it.
Okay.
According to me, I don't know. I may be wrong.
Okay, so if my understanding is correct, all the current vacancies that you list there, nothing can be done until the court matter gets resolved. Is that correct?
No, it can be done. Only the problem is with the professor's post. Assistant professors and lecturers can be recruited.
Okay.
I think so.
Okay. Can I request somebody in the audience who has more insight into this to share their view? Can I request somebody else in the audience? I mean, this seems to be an issue which I'm sure will come up in other departments too. So, yes, sir. Can we get a mic over there?
Vice Chancellor. Maybe the new Vice Chancellor, if he accepts the old decisions, it will come.
Okay. So, is it fair for me to say that one specific individual, which is the Vice Chancellor of Bangalore University,
Yeah.
if we as a group, maybe through the alumni, as alumni, if we approach the Vice Chancellor, is it in his purview now that he can actually push, he can open these covers as you say, and he
No.
can I will not. Well, I'm happy to go as alumni. See, the advantage we share.
Because I'm also alumni, but I'm a faculty in the college.
Okay, sir.
So as a general alumni, you can go and ask.
No problem.
Companies and the institutions and core companies like L&T, BEL, GE and other companies will come for recruitment. The department has a separate classroom block with 6 classrooms and the laboratories are well developed and in electrical machines, power electronics and drive lab, analog and digital electronics, microprocessor lab, DSP lab, microelectronics lab, and we have software packages like MATLAB, PSIM, PSCAD, etc. As far as laboratory is concerned, we don't have much problem, but these laboratories are equipped for only about 50 students, but the intake is around 80. Slightly we have to upgrade this infrastructure. As far as the classrooms are concerned, we require another 2 classrooms. Probably in the classroom block, one more floor is constructed that will solve our problems. The ME course, the control and instrumentation which we started in 2008, we don't have much expertise except one staff member who is handling this one. If expert alumni in the instrumentation course, if they come forward to conduct one semester course, they are welcome. Future expansion. We are thinking to start BE in energy engineering. In this, the alumni who are experts in this, they can come forward to guide us to start this energy engineering course. Now, 6 classrooms. We are running one undergraduate course which requires 4 classrooms and 4 different years. And 3 PG courses we are running, we require at least 2 more classrooms.
So are these classrooms currently not available or are they not allocated to the department?
Not allocated to the department.
Specifically,
Staggering the timings, somehow we are managing.
okay, and specifically, who would be in charge of allocating classrooms to electrical
It
department?
is already bifurcated. When the department was bifurcated to electrical and electronics, classrooms have been allocated to electrical engineering. I have seen the electrical classroom block. There is only one floor. It has 6 classrooms. If one more floor is connected over that, I think that will be enough for us.
Okay, I would like to invite some suggestions from the audience. My understanding as a student, is that accurate? Okay. We will make a note of this and when we present a memorandum to the Vice Chancellor, we will certainly include this item. Okay, in terms of the energy engineering course, which is, I think, an academic.
Professor Naren Kumar, Chairman Department of Electronics and Communication. In UC, the course started in 1968 under the Department of Electrical Engineering, and later on in 1994, a separate department was created that is bifurcating the electrical department into electrical department and electronics and computer science department. And in the year 2004, it was further bifurcated into electronics and communication department, and computer science was kept away from this department. Ever since then, we have two courses, that is one undergraduate course and another PG course, both electronics and communication branch. And for undergraduation, we have 70 students every year admitted, including Northeast students from AIEEE, and 25 students in PG course. And coming to this classrooms, we have only 4 classrooms, and we have 4 years duration of course. Of course, with these 4 classrooms, I can run even another branch with just 4 classrooms. Only thing is, we will have to correctly plan how the classrooms have to be allotted, because we cannot have dedicated classrooms. We run the classes from morning 8 to 5:30, and the whole classroom will not be occupied between 8 and 5:30. Some classrooms will have laboratories at 8 o'clock and some in the afternoon, during which period we can conduct classes for other branches or even run other courses. In fact, I have no ME classrooms, but I still run that without any problem. And at present we have some of the laboratories, microprocess laboratory, digital electronics, electronics circuits lab, communication lab, digital signal processing lab, simulation lab, HDL lab, and newly commissioned embedded systems lab, and of course the micro lab is already existing. Ours is a very small department when it is compared with the strength of the teachers. We have only 8 teachers. The rest of the teachers are guest faculties. We bring them from other colleges in and around Bangalore. And some teachers from industries also, like Lucid, Samsung, Wipro, Infosys, so on. And there are 3 professors, 1 assistant professor, 1 reader, and 3 lecturers. Among the 8 staff members available, 5 of them hold PhDs. And of course, the non-teaching faculty is also very less. We have around 13, and we are managing with that. And most of our teachers are into research activities in addition to their regular classwork. And some of the research activities going on at present is under communication networks. Again, under communication networks, we have
in terms of my first reaction, and this is my personal reaction, is the quantum of money that you're talking about is fairly insignificant, if I may say so. So, Rajiv will kill me, but I will commit to you that in the next 1 year, the UVC alumni will figure out how to raise this money for you. I don't think that's very difficult, right? Rajiv is going to be the first contributor. Yeah? Okay. Any views from the audience in terms of the presentation?
In support of your claim that the money is insignificant, maybe you think it is very high. Just for 1 lab, to set up embedded system lab, BL has provided 40 lakhs worth equipment just to set up 1 lab. Yeah. So naturally, I am just asking 50 labs to enhance the equipments already available. If that is being provided, I can upgrade the labs so that I need not have to ask for other facilities, maybe in around 4 years.
Yes, I understand that, sir. So the way, this doesn't necessarily have to be solved through money. It can also be solved through kind.
Yeah.
For example, there are alumni
Yeah.
who probably work for some companies that manufacture this equipment.
Yes.
So we can probably leverage that. So we will work with you and your
Yes,
department
yes.
to exactly build a bill of materials, if I can use that term, for this equipment, and we'll see how we can solve this problem. But it seems eminently solvable unless I'm missing something crucial. Are there any other views from the audience? Any other faculty of the department or any students who have just recently graduated from?
But how about removing this fear from the upcoming batches?
You know what? I think I'm going to block this question because it's unfair. No. I don't think you should answer it now. Can you do me a favor? Talk to him after this forum.
No, I don't mind talking. I want to answer it.
It's not
I just want to
the needs of UEC.
In fact, Anand, this is a very big deal because every student in UEC has a fear.
I want to clarify.
Okay, I will give him exactly 1 minute because this is beyond the need of UEC. Okay, so
I want to.
They have elections. So these are fundamental issues which has been taken time on the different level. I agree with you, the kind of total money, if you think about everything, is they are probably 10%. It's not a money which alumni cannot raise on projects. I'm sure Mr. was elaborate. I have sat there in the research headquarters for 14 years. Not a single project UVC has been submitted to DRDO during my submission of projects is a method of building the laboratories. In fact, when we give money to the laboratory at the end of the project, we don't take the equipment back, we don't want it. We leave it to the client. That's how you build laboratories. So there is a lot of internal problem which you should see. Classrooms, I agree with you. If one classroom is filled, how can you say you doctor and say other department cannot use? But these are not the issues of the issue. Please.
Answer. This is why Facebook is so good.
What a distinguished people sitting in front of me. I am overall. Ladies and gentlemen, good evening. My name is Krishna Vinayak Sharma. I passed out in mechanical engineering in 1980 and did my PhD in UEC. I served for 6 months in Hindustan Construction Company at Idamaliya in Kerala, and another 6 months working as a research assistant for Dr. Sudhir Kumar at the Illinois Institute of Technology in their lab facility at Lagrange for the General Motors Electromotive Division. These are the two feathers in my cap. The third feather is just sprouting right now, and after that I joined in 1985 as a teaching assistant when Dr. Vinti Chodera was the chairman of the Food and Electricity. And then I did there. Rest of the, I have 50 papers, conference papers to be created. I've never been a superhuman to produce 250 to 300 papers. And I have about 6 journal papers, which again is another international journal papers. The rest of the information you can find it on the website. Sir, ladies and madam and sir, what the Department of Mechanical Engineering needs is the title given to me, and I'd like to stick with that. First of all, we always do the Shri Ganesh Namaskar, and for the department, for the Bangalore University, the chairman and the staff of the Department of Mechanical Engineering wish to thank the Honorable Vice Chancellor, Bangalore University, for all his help, leadership and efforts. No exaggeration here, towards making the department more competitive and relevant to the needs of the industry. I will not include research, but definitely to the needs of the research industry. I'm going to give you the present status. The undergraduate status is BE Day College, the CET admissions plus the diploma quota is 410 students. evening college, 180 students. Postgraduate, we have ME machine design 18, ME thermal science and engineering.
Is there something from the audience that you would like to, is there someone from the audience who would like to express their views or even begin to think about how we can tackle a problem which seems fairly large right now? But I think, I agree with Dr. Srinivasan. The core issue is we have to think collectively. I do agree with you, sir.
I want to make one point.
Yeah.
Programmatic. Sorry, sir. In this presentation by the electrical department, there was a mention that they wanted to have an energy related activities, a new activity. It seems to me, I'm a mechanical engineer, I trained a long time ago, if UVC wants to become a center for energy technologies, it has to be multidisciplinary. There is mechanical, electrical, must go hand in hand. Otherwise, it seems to me that we are not going to get it.
Expansion of the college can only happen if you put physical space. So the real things to be more out of it, and what part is more out of it, is in trying to be discussed. The question of infrastructure, I can assure you, Sharma has not exaggerated. When I attended one of his classrooms and I came in and checked him, he showed me how 120 people can't even stand in the class, let alone listen. So the problem is genuine. Can you build it here? Can you build a multi-work?
If it can be worked out, what is the requirement, what is the number of hours, and I don't need any financial support for that.
Thank you, sir. You are most welcome. Please come to our department and have discussions.
Offer the free service in the area of environmental engineering. Likewise, there are so many people who can come forward to do such a novel work. So in fact, if it is put in the website about their study plan and offerings to UVC, the students and faculty members can contact them, and definitely it will go a long way for the benefit of the students and faculty. Thank you. I am done.
The chairman, as per the statutes and the act, and the Bangalore University and the Karnataka State University, we are working. All the chairmen directly come under registrars, and whatever the directions, instructions given by the registrar, it is directly given to the chairman. Principal is there since the college is restricting, and it is only a temporary arrangement, and the principal existing is only an in-charge principal, and he makes only the admission for first year only. The rest is taken care by the respective department, including PG admissions and administration is taken care by chairman of all the departments.
Money is not the issue. What we require, in my mind, I could be wrong, is there are heavyweights in the alumni. There are so many heavyweights in the alumni. People who have reached very high in the government. If all the people get together, lobby with the government to do what is required to be done, that is more than enough. Then the alumni can step in for whatever they want. But this major work, this kind of decision, we need the blessings of the distinguished alumni to tell the government, hey, say, listen, this is this college over here with such a potential. Why don't you open your eyes over there and, get the job done? That will be fantastic. Thank you.
They say you are living in a slum. And in fact, there is not even a gate. And auto rickshaw and others, they make it a stand. It is very, very unfortunate. I don't know whom to blame. I don't want to comment on it. It needs upgradation immediately. But who should do it? It is left to all of you. Anyway, I am thankful for having asked me to give the presentation. Thank you very much.
I'm only requesting heads of the departments must be there. Any college is built by staff. And in fact, it is only the staff members who can make or mark. Whenever I go for accreditation, I tell them, you see, that is, the institution is not made by brick and mortar, but it is made by the staff members. Therefore, it is good if they are disciplined. That is what is required. If we are not disciplined, then how can we make our students disciplined? And in fact, we should be a model. The parents are model for the children, and then the teachers must be model to our students. And then only we can have a very good country in